So Google's agent development kit, which is honestly one of the best agent development frameworks out there, announced a new major release. It is called ADK 2.0. And honestly, this is a big deal if you are building agents using Google's ADK framework today. With this new version, they have introduced 3 new things that really change how you build them. And I want to walk you through all of them because I think each one solves a real problem that ADK developers have been dealing with. Number one is graph-based workflows. This lets you define your agent's logic as a graph with nodes and edges, but all in the form of code. Nodes can be agents, it can also be tools, functions, or even human input. You get deterministic routing, parallel execution, nested workflows, all available natively. Number two is collaborative agent modes. This lets you control exactly how subagents will behave under a coordinator. Number three is dynamic workflows. This lets you write complex agent flows as async Python, plus you get automatic checkpointing for a durable, resumable workflows. So in this video, what we're going to do is we're actually going to build a multi-agent system using the new ADK 2.0. I'll walk you through each one of these 3 changes and how they're different from the previous versions and how this really simplifies the ways you build agents today. Before we get into it, a quick disclaimer, all opinions are my own and do not belong to my employer. All right, with that, let's get into it. All right, so for the demo part, I'm actually in anti-gravity, and the reason I'm here is because I want to show you guys all the different agents that I've built and all the different files. So you can see that I've got this graph router agent, which is how I will demonstrate the graph-based workflows. Then I've also got the travel planner where I will demonstrate the collaborative agent workflow, and then finally the refund approval as well, where I will actually show you the dynamic workflows with human in the loop. So that is the idea, and let's get right into it. Before I actually run the ADK web and do the demo, what I want to do is set the context for each one of the agents so that you understand the use case here. So the first one is actually the graph router. So in this one, the scenario is something like this, right? Imagine you are actually running a software company and a customer sends a support message. It could be a bug report, it could be a billing question or a feature request, and your support agent needs to figure out which one it is and route it to the right team. It is quite simple on the surface, but the way you will build this in ADK is quite different from the way you would have built this in ADK 1.0. So if you look at the file over here, which is the agent.py, you would see that this is where I have a classifier agent. Now, this is an LLM, but look at how small the instruction is here, right? Obviously, I'm asking it to first greet me as a user, but then only classify the message into exactly one, which is either a bug, billing, or a feature request, and return only the category in uppercase, right? Now, what I'm doing here is I've got these 3 handler functions, right? Handle a bug, handle a billing, or handle feature request. And if you see the highlighted root agent, which is the core thing and which is the main change which ADK 2.0 brings, right? Which is where introducing edges. So you can see here that I would declare the graph in code where we would start and it will go into the classifier, which goes actually into the router, which then branches out into different handlers, right? This whole new control flow lives in code and the LLM only does the classification. And this is a major shift from ADK 1.0. Now, if you look at this image here, which is where I'm trying to explain what 1.0 does, you would build the same workflow, something like this, where one agent will have a massive instruction prompt. You will tell the LLM first classify the message, then call the right handler, never skip steps, etc. And you would pray that the LLM follows your rules. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it will skip the classification. Sometimes it will call the wrong handler. Sometimes it just responds in English instead of calling any handler at all. And when your agent gets more and more complex, the longer your prompt gets, the more unreliable it becomes. And this is in 2.0 completely taken care of. All of that routing logic actually moves out of that prompt and into the code. So it is actually more deterministic and reliable. So now let me actually run this for you so that you can see this live in action, right? So I'm going to type ADK web. This will obviously get the web development browser, which is part of ADK. And here you can see a little bit of a change as well. So I'm going to select the graph router one. I'm going to start with hi. And as you have seen in the code here, which is it'll greet the user and tell me what it can do. So it is going to do that right now. And there you go. It is saying, hey, I'm a classifier and I can help you by classifying your request. And then I'm going to say that, hey, like my dashboard is showing 500 errors every time I load the analytics page. Now it is actually doing the classification for you, right? So you can see here, it has gone through the router and it has automatically figured out that it is a bug and it has handled that and it has given us this specific answer, right? So you can also see beautifully here in the trace, it has invoked this, and then from here, the router and then the handler bug, which is very different from what you would have seen previously, because previously, all of this would have gone in this particular instruction, which is now very different. So that's what I wanted to show you as part of this graph router. And you can see clearly the difference here as part of the output. It is executing the graph classifier first, which is very different and it is more deterministic. Okay. Now, let me ask a different question, which is how much does the Pro plan cost and what features are included? So this will be interesting because now I'm asking a billing question, right? So it has done that, and you can see that now in the graph here, you can see that it is handling this particular function is handling that, right? All of this done automatically and more deterministically, right? Now let me see, ask a different question. It would be great if you could add dark mode to the dashboard, right? So now this is a feature request, and there you go. It has done a great job, and it has identified this as a feature request. And at any time, you can also see how it is handling, and you can see all of these things in detail in the trace as well. This is done very differently in ADK 2.0 versus what you would have done in 1.0. So this is graph-based workflow. So that is the first demo that I wanted to show. So the second demo that I'm going to show is actually more around the collaborative agent mode. So we're going to look into the travel planner for this, right? Just quick context here. Imagine you're building a travel planning agent. There's a coordinator at the top and a specialized sub-agent underneath, one that checks weather and one that books flight. And the coordinator's job is to delegate to the right sub-agent based on the user's need. It's very simple. But in 1.0, once a coordinator handed off to a sub-agent, getting control back from that sub-agent to the coordinator was not that straightforward. Now in ADK 2.0, you can see in the code here, right? So here you will see that these are all the regular stuff. You're defining the functions, flight input, and all of those things. But I want you to focus on the sub-agent. So I have got the weather checker. This is a sub-agent. And notice this particular file where I've got a mode is equal to single turn, right? So I'm highlighting that over here. This means that the agent runs once and returns its results, and control auto returns to the coordinator, no manual handoff. Now let's look at the flight booker as well. In this one, the mode is equal to task, right? So task mode lets the agent ask clarifying questions if it needs to, what is the exact date, etc. But the moment the task completes, it will again auto return, right? And then we have the coordinator agent here, which is the root agent. And then we are defining that, hey, these are the two sub agents, which you should be coordinating, right? So you're a travel coordinator, delegate weather question to the weather agent, weather checker and flight booking to the flight booker. For complex requests, use both appropriately, right? So this is where ADK 2.0 handles the handoffs for me based on these two modes, which are again brand new, right? Now, so let me show you this live. So I'm going to type ADK web again. This is going to open up the web development browser again. And this time I'm going to select the travel planner here, and I'm going to just say hi. So it is just going to introduce itself to me, that what it is supposed to be doing. So I'm going to ask this question, right? What does the weather look like in Paris today? You can see that I'm asking it a simple question. And here in this case, it is going to be calling the weather checker, and it is going to provide me the response. You can also see here live on what is happening on the site. And it is going to be, it just told me the weather in Paris, right? So you can see how it is doing, and then it is providing the response back. You can see the control is back to the travel planner, right? Now I'm asking the next question, book me a flight from SFO to CDG, which is San Francisco Charles de Gaulle in Paris again. So what it is going to do now is it is going to ask me some follow-up question. You can see exactly what it has done because we had that different mode, right? So I can say that, okay, I want something in April 28th. And now it should be able to take that as an input and then complete the job, right? So that is what it is doing. And you can see on the left, you can see pretty much here things in action, and it should be able to book the job. Now I'm going to ask it a bit more complicated where it should be using both. So that's what was in the code as well, right? So it is transferring to the agent. So it is going to get the weather as well as book me the flight. And that's where you're already seeing that coordinator agent, which is the travel planner over here, is actually not losing it, and it is able to get the control back automatically. So it has checked the weather and has asked me for the exact date. So I'm just going to say April 28th, and it should be able to now do the job, right? So you can already see here, it has checked for the weather, and now it is transferring to the agent where it will book the flight, right? So that's the idea here, which was difficult. I mean, it was not impossible, but there was always this chance of confusion with the coordinator agent. Now you can see all the ones which are highlighted have been used, and now it is just finishing the task. This is the beauty of ADK 2.0, where you're able to clearly get the coordinator agent work very clearly with the sub agents. Okay, so that was the second demo. We will now get into the last demo. So the third demo, which is the refund approval over here, is actually about dynamic workflows and human in the loop. So the scenario here is, let's say that you are building a refund processing agent, and the business rule is straightforward. Small refunds under $100 get auto-approved, and large refunds over $100 will stop and get a human manager to approve before processing anything. This pattern is critical for any enterprise agent, which is where approvals and compliance and fraud checks and all of those kind of use cases are required, anywhere where the AI shouldn't be making the final call. So in 1.x, this was a bit difficult to build, but then let me show you how this works in ADK 2.0. All right, so let's look into the code here. And it's a lot of code, so I'm not going to get too detailed into it, but let's just understand what is the main difference. So you would see here, I opened the wrong one, sorry. So you would see here that for the refund approval, there are a few new things which are there as part of ADK 2.0. One is the node, and then the other one is request input. So see this decorator, which is node, think this turns any Python function into a workflow step. It's how ADK 2.0 lets you build workflows using regular Python, not like a fixed graph like a demo one, right? So I can write if statements, else statements, and all of those things inside it. Now, the second one is actually request input. So you can see here that, if the decision is approved and the decision amount is greater than 100, then you will request the input. And this is where the human in the loop comes in, and it literally pauses and shows the message to the user and waits for them to respond. So that's the second one. And the third one is CTX resume data, right? So this is where when the human responds, their answer comes back and the workflow picks up right where it has left it off. And the data comes and sits on this. So these are the three things via which ADK really introduces human in the loop, right? This is what I wanted to show you. Okay, so let's run the demo here, and we will give it two different scenarios. One scenario where the charge is going to be less than $100. So I've selected that. I'm going to say that, okay, in this one, let's say that I'm customer one and the amount is $50, right? And whatever was the reason, the idea is to showcase how the approval will happen without human in the loop. And then once this is done, this should show auto approved. And so there you go. The decision is auto approved, processed successfully. And now I'm going to say that customer 002, the refund amount is actually $350, right? So in this case, it should not auto approve, and it should actually ask me for a human in the loop. And it is exactly asking, do you approve or not? So now I have said yes, and now it should have approved, right? So this decision is true because the human actually approved it. So that is what I wanted to show you, right? As part of the third demo, where you are able to incorporate a human in the loop while the decisioning system happens via the agent, which is pretty cool, thanks to ADK 2.0. So those were the three key things that came along with ADK 2.0. There are a few other things that have come along, but these are the main updates. And I thought it will be a good idea for me to share this with you. Let me know if you have started building the agents using the ADK 2.0 framework, and how has your experience been? And if you have any questions, obviously, please let me know. It also comes with a visual builder. And if you guys are interested in understanding about the visual builder, I'm more than happy to make a detailed video around that. Okay. So that was it from my side this evening. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.